Two things I want to talk about in the gaming news world this week. The first story is possibly good news, depending on how you look at it. Games are back down to 70 US dollars. I know that sounds crazy, but it's down from $70 specifically with one game after gamers have assumed that the trend would be $80 being the norm going forward. It doesn't seem like that's completely the case here. This is specifically with Xbox and Obsidian announcing that the upcoming Outer Worlds 2, I have to look at the words Outer Worlds 2, not Outer Wilds. Excuse me. Very different game. Outer Worlds 2, which was announced as an $80 game, much to the dismay of a lot of people a few months back. Obsidian has now said, hey, it's actually $70. Sorry, just kidding. Also, we're going to refund people that difference. Good move overall. Look, the $80 price point is already a lot for people. It's asking a lot. Granted, of course, we haven't seen like the full effects. It's really been just Mario Kart World, which I didn't think was really completely worth $80. But Xbox had come out a few months back and said, hey, we're going to start charging $80 for games. This is where things are going. They had a statement and everything. And now it seems like they might be walking some of that back, or at the very least treating it like a case-by-case basis. Jez Corden at Windows Central reports a direct statement to them from Microsoft that says, and I quote, "We're focused on bringing players incredible worlds to explore, and we'll keep our full-priced holiday releases, including the Outer Worlds 2, at $70, in line with current market conditions." Now, there's a lot of ways that you can look at this, right? I mean, yes, it's great. Like, I think it's good, but is it like is it Xbox trying to get goodwill, consumer goodwill, where lately the sentiment has kind of been a little bit more negative swirling around about Microsoft Xbox? I don't know if that's the case. It could very much be they were looking at their pre-order numbers and it's just a data play. They launched pre-orders for this at 80 US dollars. Maybe they looked at those numbers and said, yeesh, we gotta bump this up. The $80 thing clearly isn't working here. I think that will be great. I think that will be players voting with their wallets and then the corporations directly responding. I don't know how it actually went down, but that will be nice to see. The Outer Worlds 2 is an interesting one because some people will say it's not even worth 70 US dollars because a lot of people played the first Outer Worlds and I thought it was pretty good. It wasn't the longest experience or anything like that. They have said the Outer Worlds 2 is going to be a bigger experience, but $70 or, initially $80, that big? I don't know. Microsoft is a big ass company, so they probably did the math on this and were kind of reading the tea leaves. And maybe they're assuming that $80 is too much for a lot of games, and there is going to be consumer pushback. I don't know if they're looking forward to their other big releases and like Call of Duty and stuff like that. Who knows? But I'm just curious to see if this actually sticks. I've talked a lot in the past, on here and on Game Ranks about case by case basis and, different studios charging different prices for different types of experiences. With 2K, of course, for Mafia: The Old Country, they're charging like $50 because it's just a very simple linear single player action adventure game versus whatever else. Look, I don't know where this is ultimately going to end up, but I just look at it kind of black and white where it's like, if there is an opportunity, a corporation at some point or another is probably going to take it. So I still think the jury's out on like maybe $80, maybe they push too far and all the companies are going to scale back. I don't think it's that clean and simple, but I'd very much like to see $80 not become the norm. A lot of people have asked me like, hey Jake, would you gladly pay $80 for some specific video game? And I've replied, it would have to be a video game that like absolutely changed my life or something. It has to be like the most world-changing, world-ending type of video game. Does that video game exist? I don't know. Ultimately, I don't want to pay $80, and I don't really think most people do. Even being aware of market conditions, development costs, stuff like that, it just is a very difficult pill to swallow. And it's just curious. It's been a curious thing to talk about, just the ups and downs of these pricing things. And like I said, the story is not over yet. Hey, next up, this video is sponsored by Factor. Now, if you're new around here, if you haven't heard, Factor delivers fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals right to your doorstep. They make it super easy. I have these things in my fridge, ready to go. They heat up in the microwave in just a few minutes, and then I'm eating something delicious. I'm always busy, I'm always working, or just doing whatever. And Factor has just helped me save time. I'm not going to the grocery store or worrying about meal prep or anything like that. I just roll with Factor. Today, what do I got here? I got dill crusted chicken and cheddar broccoli grits. Never had grits. So it was the first time for everything. But it's good I mentioned that Factor actually has a lot of different options and choices. Meat, seafood, keto, vegan, and veggie options. They got everything covered, as well as a bunch of fun add-ons and enhancements, right? Like you can get juices or smoothies that are just good to grab at a pinch. Factor really has everything. Whether you're busy, you just don't like cooking, you're trying to simplify things, it's definitely worth checking out. I'm actually recording this before eating, so I'm going to eat this right now. So if you want to check this out, all you got to do is click the link in the description down below or head to factor75.com. When you're there, use code 50OnJake to get 50% off your first Factor box. Again, that's factor75.com, and then when you're there, use code 50OnJake. Check it out, get eating. And big thanks to Factor for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to it. And welcome back. If you're new here, every Wednesday, I just talk about two news stories I find specifically very interesting. On the Friday news show on Game Ranks, I give you all the news. Here, I just dive a little longer into two things I like or two things I find interesting. And the second bit of news from this week is the fact that they're making a Hellraiser game. Yes, this is newly announced. This is Hellraiser Revival, or really Clive Barker's Hellraiser Revival, long title, but this is from developers Saber Interactive, who of course are behind things like most recently Warhammer 40k, Space Marine 2, and Boss Team Games, who manage a lot of like the IP type driven things like the Halloween game that's in the works, and of course the Texas Chainsaw asymmetrical multiplayer game and the Evil Dead one. So this is cool for a couple of reasons. Number one, Saber Interactive. They're on a real good hot streak lately with the stuff they've been publishing, developing. I just really have been digging what they've been putting out. Also, Boss Team Games as kind of like a shepherd of some IP. I think how they leverage that IP, they've really gotten it. Even if like, you know, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Evil Dead Rise, what was the name of the game? No, Evil Dead Rise was the movie. Jeez. Excuse me. Evil Dead, the game, right? Even if those types of games, like the genre of game, isn't people's cup of tea, I played them, I evaluated them, I reviewed them for Game Ranks and stuff, and I felt like they very much were just really good uses of the franchises. Like it understood the franchises. It didn't bastardize them or anything like that. It felt like it kind of understood them. And then it just crammed it into a genre of game I'm not the biggest fan of, but still, I think they kind of get it. So that marriage right there is really good. But what really did me in for this is the type of game this is, right? A Hellraiser game? Like, what the hell is that, right? What could that be? Well, it's a first-person survival horror game. That's awesome. I mean, first person, okay, but survival horror game, just like a story-driven survival horror game, that is just what the doctor ordered. That is my type of game, dude. And the trailer is incredible. I can't show a lot of it here, I don't think, because like it's gory and gross and it's gonna get us demonetized, but like you're gonna be using weapons and like fighting gross things, doing disgusting things. You're gonna be like using the Genesis configuration. You're gonna be encountering the Cenobites themselves. Pinhead is like in full glory here. It is him straight up, and that's just really cool to see. The trailer was brief. We only get snippets of stuff, but it looks gross, disgusting, uncomfortable in all the right ways. And it's really cool to see them leverage that, right? It goes back to me saying like, you know, them understanding what they're working with here, because Hellraiser is so distinct. It is such a unique thing. Clive Barker, of course, has dabbled in games before, and I'm hoping that now with this game, if this game is popular, I hope people can revisit some older Clive Barker things like you know, Jericho and stuff. But the Hellraiser style, the character design, the type of gore, the type of like pleasure, pain thing, the like suited like the sexual undertones, the gore, the leather, all of it is just so incredibly unique and honestly uncomfortable that I think it would be cool for a video game. I mean, Hellraiser hasn't really popped off like it did back in the day. I'm partial to the first movie, really the second one too, but like that first movie was just so incredibly pit of your stomach, menacing and grotesque and filled with dread that I'm really hoping a game can capture that feeling. I saw that movie at way too young of an age, and then even watching it as an adult, I still am like, am I old enough to watch this? This movie is fucked up. But just the gore, the grime, the mysterious nature of it, the dread of the Cenobites and, you know, the order of the gash and, you know, the homies there. Like, it's cool to see this actually leveraged in a video game, and I hope it turns out cool. It seems like with it being a, story-driven first-person survival horror game, that they're sticking within the confines of something that works. They're not taking Hellraiser and making an open-world action-adventure game or a looter shooter. I think this type of genre seems like it could be a good, match for this type of game. Essentially, apparently, you play as this person named Aiden trying to help save your girlfriend, and that's it. Pretty straightforward. The website references using lots of different weapons and stuff, and also the blog post, Tim Willits of Saber Interactive and all that did describe that they did consult and work with Clive Barker on this game. That's great. How much advisement he had, how much oversight he had, I don't know. It was probably a little bit more of a passive thing, but either way, the fact that he was somewhat involved and gives a thumbs up, a big freaky thumbs up, that's cool. But going back to it again, visually, I think it looks cool, but also I like that it's not just otherworldly stuff. It is centered around a house as well, which I think fits perfectly, really, really right in line with that first movie. So I'm really hopeful for this one. I hope Saber Interactive has another good thing on their hands. And as someone who just like that original Hellraiser movie, I love horror movies. I'm not like the biggest horror movie aficionado. I leave that to friend of the show, Jimmy Champagne. But for me, Hellraiser is unique. I didn't really expect much more to come from the franchise at this point, and I really didn't expect a video game, let alone a full-fledged 3D high-budget game. So all right, I'll take it. I will absolutely give this a shot. I hope we learn some more information about it soon, though. Also, shout out to Butterball. Just because I want to put him on screen. I love him. Anyway, those are the two things I wanted to talk about this week. Usually I try and add a bonus thing. The only thing I have for you this week is this. I just got this the other day at Target. I have a lot of RoboCops. I love RoboCop, but this one is from NECA, of course, but it's of their series where they recreate the movie box art. I love that. I don't really want to take it out of the box because it's perfect. It is literally that first image of RoboCop. Incredible. Also, RoboCop Unfinished Business, the kind of standalone expansion for RoboCop Rogue City. A lot of people have been asking me about it. I did play a little bit of it over the weekend. I didn't get too far into it, but the way it picked up very confidently and very much just boom, here's more RoboCop right after Rogue City. I'm into it. I'm looking forward to diving into it more, but as of right now, I'm still working through Donkey Kong. So at some point, I would love to talk about that, but this was just a real quick excuse to bring up RoboCop. Man, I love RoboCop. But those are the bits of news I wanted to talk about this week. Keep your eyes peeled for, like I said, Donkey Kong, because I am playing that. I have a video on that. Also, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, kind of a little bit of a post-mortem on that as well. But let me know what you think about the news stories this week. Of course, $70, $80 US game. The battle of the prices continues. How are you feeling on all this shit? It's all miserable. We all want games to be free or $10, but let me know what you think about Microsoft Xbox's approach. And also, I'd love to know what you think about Hellraiser Revival. How do you feel about Saber Interactive being behind a lot of it? You think it's a good fit? Do you have any experience with Hellraiser? Who's your favorite of those gross creatures? And what's your favorite movie? Let's talk about any of this stuff down in the comments. I definitely want to hear from you. Again, big thanks to the sponsor of these videos. Thank you if you clicked on them, but also just thank you if you clicked on this video. If you get what I'm trying to do here, I'm talking about stuff I like, stuff I find interesting. Clicking the like button helps me. Thank you. Subscribe if you're new, but really that's it. I'm Jake Baldino. Subscribe because video games, pizzas all me.